Welcome to the Explainer. If you're a new student staring down your syllabus right now, branch accounting probably looks like, well, a pretty intimidating mountain of technical jargon, endless ledgers, and brutal reconciliations. But hey, don't worry. Today, we're going to master this together. We're going to strip away the jargon and look at the underlying logic of how businesses actually expand. Let's just dive right in. So, what does corporate accounting have in common with growing up? I know, it sounds like the setup to a cheesy joke, but it's actually the absolute perfect framework for wrapping your head around this. Think of the main headquarters, the head office, as a parent. As this business grows, it creates branches. Those are essentially its children. And just like real kids, these branches exist at very different life stages. They've got varying levels of freedom, different responsibilities, and totally different sets of rules. Here's our roadmap for the explainer. We'll start with the accounting family tree. Then we'll check out dependent branches, our teenagers. After that, we'll look at independent branches, the adults, then foreign branches, the expats, and finally, we'll bring the whole shebang together with the final trial balance. Okay, part 1, the accounting family tree. This is where the head office acts as the parent. From an accounting perspective, the parent holds all the ultimate authority. They classify every single branch into one of 3 specific categories, based entirely on their level of independence. Basically, the amount of trust and autonomy the parent gives the branch dictates exactly how the accounting gets done. Which brings us to part 2, dependent branches, or as we're calling them, the teenagers. You know the drill. Living under their parents' roof, not a whole lot of freedom. Let's look at the official definition. A dependent branch does not keep a full system of accounting. The vast majority of their accounting records are maintained entirely by the head office. Think about it like this. The parent just doesn't trust the teenager to do the heavy financial lifting yet. So these branches aren't preparing complex balance sheets. They aren't calculating ultimate profit and loss. They're really just tracking the super basic day-to-day stuff. And they face some pretty strict operational restrictions too. They only maintain simple records. We're talking sales, debtors, and a basic stock register to track inventory. That's about it. They can generally only sell goods that they receive directly from the head office, usually supplied at cost or invoice price. They absolutely cannot go rogue and buy inventory in the open market without explicit permission. And here's the real kicker. Any cash they make, it has to be handed over to the head office daily or deposited right into a local bank account that is maintained in the parent's name. So they make the money, but the parent completely controls the wallet. Now, what's really fascinating here is how they handle expenses. Since the head office controls all the cash, they directly pay all the major branch expenses. Rent, salaries, the big bills. The parent pays those. The branch manager, well, they simply get what's called a petty cash float. Let's be real here, folks. That's literally just an allowance. It's a small chunk of change used for minor chores like postage or cartage. It's exactly like a teenager asking for $20 to go to the movies. The dependent branch has to make do with petty cash while the parent handles all the serious finances. Also worth noting, while they usually only sell for cash, the parent might occasionally authorize them to sell on credit. And this dynamic brilliantly sets up the leap we're about to make. On one hand, you've got our dependent teenager, living on petty cash, needing permission to buy things, and keeping incomplete books. On the other hand, you have the adult. They pay their own expenses, they operate with total autonomy, and they maintain rigorous double-entry accounting books. Basically, it is time for our branch to grow up. Moving on to part 3, independent branches, the adults. Welcome to the young adult phase of the accounting family tree. This is where the training wheels officially come off, and the branch has to fend for itself financially. By definition, an independent branch keeps a full system of accounting. They enjoy a really high degree of operational autonomy, and they act as completely independent units for all practical purposes. They're entirely self-sufficient. The head office actually trusts them to handle their own complete financial records without hovering over their shoulder 24/7. Let's walk through some of these grown-up freedoms, because they're pretty significant. First off, they maintain complete double-entry books. That means they prepare their own trial balance, their own trading and profit and loss accounts, and their own balance sheet. And unlike our dependent branch from earlier, they can actually purchase goods straight from the open market. In fact, they're so self-sufficient, they can even supply goods back to the head office if they need to. They incur and pay their own expenses from the cash they actually realize. And this is a massive milestone. They get to operate bank accounts in their very own names. So the key takeaway here is high autonomy. But keep in mind, they are still part of the family. To keep track of their mutual transactions, the independent branch opens a head office account in its books. This functions essentially like a personal account. They record absolutely everything they owe to or are owed by the parent. Because remember, despite all this shiny new adult freedom, they are still a branch. Ultimately, any profit earned or lost incurred at the very end of the year still legally belongs to the head office. It's like you can move out of the house, sure, but in corporate accounting, your success is still technically your parents' success.
All right, part 4, foreign branches, the expats. Now we're looking at the adventurous sibling who decided to pack up and move overseas.
The definition here is really straightforward, but absolutely critical. A foreign branch is located in a foreign country, obviously, but its truly distinctive feature is that it maintains all of its financial records and books of account in the local foreign currency. So they aren't just operating independently. They are literally speaking a completely different financial language than the parent company. And because they operate in a different currency, there is a vital translation step that has to happen. Step 1, the branch just goes about its business, maintaining complete records in that local foreign currency. Step 2, before the parent can actually do anything with that data, the foreign branch's financials and trial balance have to be converted into the domestic currency of the head office. I mean, you can't just mash euros and dollars together in the same ledger, right? Finally, step 3, once it's all converted, that data is smoothly incorporated right into the head office's overarching books. Which brings us to part 5, the final trial balance. The big picture. Let's bring all 3 of our branch types together and see exactly how they compare. This framework perfectly summarizes everything we've covered today. Just look at the dependent branch, super low autonomy, needing permission for absolutely everything, keeping only partial records like sales and stock, and using the domestic currency. Then you've got the independent branch, high autonomy, keeping full double entry books, also in the domestic currency, and finally, the foreign branch. Notice how it matches the independent branch exactly in terms of autonomy and accounting systems, but it stands completely alone by operating in a foreign currency that requires conversion. It's clean, it's totally logical, and it shows you exactly how the parent company manages its kids. I really want to highlight this exact quote directly from our source material because it hits the nail on the head. For all practical accounting purposes, foreign branches are treated as independent branches. Once you handle that currency conversion, the expat and the independent adult function with the exact same level of accounting autonomy. They keep their own books, they pay their own expenses, and they just report back to the parent through that head office account. Simple as that. To wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a slightly provocative thought. We noted just a minute ago that an independent branch can actually purchase from the open market and supply goods back to the head office. So think about that dynamic for a second. If the child grows up, becomes fully self-sufficient, and starts providing the inventory that literally keeps the parent company afloat, who is really the parent in that relationship? It really makes you ponder the fascinating, constantly shifting dynamics of corporate accounting structures. I hope this family tree analogy has made branch accounting clear, accessible, and hey, maybe even a little fun. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and we'll see you next time.